Dear Real Madrid supporters, today we face a moment that resonates deeply within the walls of the Santiago Bernabéu and across the hearts of Madridistas around the globe. What we are experiencing is not a rumor whispered in passing, not a speculative report waiting for confirmation, but a decision that is official, definitive, and immediate. The club has made the choice to bring David Alaba's chapter at Real Madrid to a close, and this departure will not wait until the summer or linger in uncertainty. It will be executed right now, in the heart of the winter transfer market, underlining the gravity of the decision and the urgency with which the institution moves when faced with reality. A career forged in glory before Madrid. David Alaba arrived in the Spanish capital with a resume that few in world football could rival. Having spent more than a decade at Bayern Munich, he amassed an enviable collection of trophies. Multiple Bundesliga titles, several DFB Pokals, 2 UEFA Champions League triumphs, FIFA Club World Cups, and UEFA Super Cups. His name was synonymous with consistency, versatility, and excellence. At Bayern, he had been molded into one of the most complete defenders in the modern game, capable of excelling at left back, central defense, and even as a holding midfielder when circumstances demanded. He was not simply a footballer. He was a leader, a player who embodied discipline, tactical intelligence, and an unshakable winning mentality. For years, he had been the reliable constant in a team of stars, a man who thrived both under the pressure of domestic dominance and the intensity of European nights. By the time his contract in Munich reached its conclusion, Alaba was not just a free agent. He was one of the most coveted players in the world. Madrid's call and the weight of expectations. When Real Madrid secured his signature, the timing was crucial. The club was entering a delicate transitional phase, marked by the painful departure of two defensive titans, Sergio Ramos, the captain, leader, and symbol of an era, and Raphael Varane, whose calm elegance and reliability had anchored the backline for years. The defensive future of Real Madrid was, at that point, uncertain. The arrival of Alaba was therefore more than a signing, it was a statement of intent. He was not brought in simply to play football, he was brought in to carry the weight of history. Madrid did not just need a defender, they needed stability, experience, and leadership in a moment of vulnerability. And in those early months, Alaba delivered beyond expectations. From his first training sessions in Valdebebas, his professionalism was evident. There were no distractions, no off-field controversies, no hints of arrogance. He arrived humble yet confident, aware that at Real Madrid the past glories of a player matter little compared to what he proves every day on the pitch. He won the trust of his teammates quickly, demonstrating punctuality, work ethic, and a sense of camaraderie that helped him fit seamlessly into the dressing room. The brilliance of the first chapter. In his debut season, Alaba stood out as one of Madrid's pillars. Alongside Eder Militao, he forged a partnership that re-established the club's defensive stability. He brought composure when playing out from the back, tactical sharpness to anticipate opposition attacks, and a versatility that gave Carlo Ancelotti much-needed flexibility in his tactical schemes. His leadership was quiet but effective. He did not need to shout to command respect. His presence alone inspired confidence. The results spoke for themselves. Madrid remained competitive both in La Liga and in Europe, conquering titles and reaffirming their reputation as a club that never falters in times of transition. Alaba was not only seen as a replacement for Ramos and Varane but as a success story in his own right. He helped Madrid navigate one of the most difficult transitional periods in its modern history. The decline, injuries, and the cruel passage of time. Yet, as football so often reminds us, triumph is temporary, and the greatest obstacle for any player is the relentless march of time combined with the cruelty of injuries. Over the past 2 seasons, Alaba's story at Madrid shifted dramatically. Where once there was reliability and constancy, there emerged fragility and uncertainty. Muscular problems began to plague him. Injuries that seemed minor at first became recurring. Recovery periods stretched longer than expected. Re-injuries occurred at crucial junctures, leaving Madrid's defensive line exposed during high-stakes encounters. For a club that plays 55 to 60 matches a season, reliability is not a luxury, it is a necessity. His once explosive acceleration dulled. His anticipation, still sharp, was betrayed by a body that no longer responded with the same speed. Matches that demanded 90 minutes of intensity highlighted the growing gap between the Alaba of his prime and the Alaba struggling to maintain rhythm. For Madrid, this was not simply a player in decline, it was a risk to the team's ambitions. The decision, ruthless but necessary. Real Madrid has always been defined by its ability to make ruthless decisions in the pursuit of excellence. Legends have come and gone, often in circumstances that seemed abrupt or even unfair at the time. Fernando Hierro, Iker Casillas, Raúl, Cristiano Ronaldo, Sergio Ramos, each departure sent shockwaves through the fanbase. And yet, the club has always emerged stronger, its priorities clear. No individual is greater than the institution. The case of David Alaba is no different. The leadership analyzed the situation, weighing his immense contribution against the physical limitations that now defined him. The conclusion was unavoidable. The demands of Real Madrid could no longer be matched by the player Alaba had become. And so, the club has chosen to act decisively, cutting short his tenure and facilitating his immediate exit. A likely destination: return to familiar ground. Reports suggest his most probable destination will be Borussia Dortmund. A return to the Bundesliga may offer him the environment to prolong his career at a high level. The pace, while intense, is familiar to him. The culture, the language, the stadiums, all represent a return to roots, a chance to redefine himself away from the pressure cooker of Madrid. For Dortmund, a team that often blends young talent with experienced leadership, Alaba could be the ideal mentor. A player who has walked the path to the summit of European football and who can guide others along the way. Reactions, fans, media, and the dressing room. The news has understandably generated a storm of reactions. Within the Madridista fanbase, emotions are divided. Many feel sorrow at seeing a consummate professional depart, a man who gave his all to the badge. Others, more pragmatic, understand the necessity of the decision, aware that the institution must prioritize performance over sentiment. The Spanish press has described the move as inevitable yet painful, while the German media has speculated with optimism about what Alaba could bring back to the Bundesliga. In the dressing room, the respect remains intact. Players have spoken of him as a teammate who embodied humility, professionalism, and dedication. Alaba himself, in a hypothetical farewell statement, might say, "It has been an honor to wear the shirt of Real Madrid, a club that represents the pinnacle of world football. I gave everything I had, and though injuries stood in my way, I will always carry the memories of the Bernabeu and the warmth of the fans with me." Ancelotti, ever composed, could summarize it as follows: "David is a great professional and a fantastic person. His contribution was very important for us. Football is sometimes cruel, but he leaves with our respect and gratitude." And Florentino Perez, known for his pragmatic approach, might reflect, "At Real Madrid, the club is always first. David's time here was valuable, but cycles must end. We wish him success in this next stage of his career." Legacy and lessons. Ultimately, Alaba departs leaving more than trophies and appearances. He leaves a lesson. His time at Madrid reminds us that football is as much about resilience as it is about talent, and that even the most accomplished players are subject to the limits of the body. He demonstrated humility, commitment, and leadership. His cycle was shorter than many had hoped, but within that cycle, he carried out his duties with dignity and respect. For Madrid, the message is timeless. No player, no matter how decorated, stands above the crest. The institution's greatness lies in its relentless pursuit of excellence, in its courage to make difficult decisions, and in its vision to always prepare for the future. David Alaba now turns the page, likely back in Germany, while Madrid looks ahead, searching once more for the next generation of defenders who will uphold the fortress of the Bernabeu. The cycle ends, but the story continues. And that, in essence, is the reality of Real Madrid. Legends arrive, legends depart, but the white shirt remains eternal. When the news of David Alaba's departure already sent shockwaves through the Madridista community, the situation surrounding Ferland Mendy further cements the reality. The sporting management of Real Madrid has embarked on a decisive, no-turning-back mission to completely reshape the defensive line. Mendy, the French left-back who was signed with the objective of becoming a cornerstone on the left flank, is now set to bid farewell to the club in the upcoming transfer window, closing a chapter that was marked by moments of defensive brilliance, unyielding commitment, and also undeniable inconsistency. From the very moment Ferland Mendy set foot in the Santiago Bernabeu, expectations were high. He had been nurtured and polished at Olympique Lyonnais, a club known for producing technically and tactically astute players, and he arrived in Madrid carrying the reputation of being a modern defender with the raw physical qualities needed to succeed at the highest level. The context of his arrival was crucial. Marcelo, the legendary Brazilian fullback, was nearing the twilight of his career. While Marcelo had given Real Madrid a decade and a half of attacking genius, dazzling dribbles, and creative improvisation from the left flank, his defensive vulnerabilities were increasingly exposed as the years went by. The club, in a phase of rebalancing its squad after the departures of other heavyweights, needed someone who could bring solidity, sobriety, and consistency to that side of the pitch. Mendy's profile seemed tailor-made for that mission. He was not the type of full-back who sought to steal the spotlight with flair or spectacular overlapping runs every minute of the game, but rather one who built his game on discipline, anticipation, and sheer athletic power. In his early seasons, that identity was clear. He shut down elite wingers with remarkable efficiency, tracked back with relentless energy, and offered a level of defensive assurance that had been missing since the peak years of Fabio Coentrão and even further back to Roberto Carlos's more physically dominant days. For fans and coaches alike, Mendy became synonymous with reliability. The Madridistas quickly learned to value his quiet contribution. He was never the player to dominate the front-page headlines, but in those tense Champions League nights when a single defensive duel could decide the fate of an entire tie, Mendy often stood tall. Whether it was denying world-class wingers space to breathe, winning crucial tackles near his own box, or making perfectly timed recovery runs, he consistently provided a backbone of stability. In La Liga, too, he often acted as the silent guardian, allowing Real Madrid's midfielders and forwards to take more risks going forward, knowing that his flank was secure. In his prime, Mendy represented a very modern interpretation of the left-back position. Less flamboyant than Marcelo, but more balanced, more defensively secure, and physically robust. He was the wall that opponents dreaded facing, the type of player who instilled confidence in his teammates simply by being present on the pitch. However, football is unforgiving, and time is merciless. While Mendy never endured a catastrophic series of injuries comparable to Alaba's recent misfortunes, the constant accumulation of minor knocks, niggling discomforts, and interrupted runs of form slowly began to erode his consistency. A player whose biggest strength was his physical intensity started finding it harder to reproduce that same level of sharpness week in, week out. The intensity required to perform at Real Madrid is unlike anywhere else in world football. Every game, regardless of opponent, is played under the microscope, with the weight of expectation hanging on every action. For a club whose standard is winning or nothing, even small drops in performance can become fatal. As the seasons went by, Mendy's role gradually shifted. He went from being a guaranteed starter in the biggest matches to being a player whose place was constantly questioned. The bar at Real Madrid is set so high that even the perception of vulnerability can lead to a reassessment of a player's place in the squad. Critics pointed to his limited attacking contribution compared to his predecessors, arguing that while he provided defensive security, he didn't always offer enough going forward, particularly against teams that parked the bus and required Madrid to break down compact defensive blocks. His ball progression, while solid in moments, often lacked the imaginative spark that Marcelo once provided, or even the dynamism of Dani Carvajal on the opposite side. The contrast became more pronounced with the rise of younger players and the shifting tactical priorities of the team. Real Madrid, always forward-looking, began preparing for a new cycle, one that would demand not only solidity but also freshness, versatility, and durability. It is within this context that the club's leadership, spearheaded by Florentino Perez and the sporting directors, made the difficult but calculated decision. Mendy's time at Real Madrid must come to an end. The most likely scenario points toward a return to Olympique Lyonnais, the club that shaped him into the professional who caught the attention of Europe's elite. Such a move makes sense on multiple levels. Lyon offers him familiarity, a nurturing environment, and the stage to once again feel like a central figure rather than a piece in an ever-rotating, ultra-demanding machine. At Lyon, Mendy can rebuild his confidence, rediscover his rhythm, and perhaps even enjoy the leadership role that is nearly impossible to attain in the galaxy of stars that is Real Madrid. And yet, as the chapter closes, it is only fair that the Madridistas recognize Mendy for what he truly gave: effort, professionalism, and key contributions in title-winning campaigns. He was not flashy, but he was indispensable in his best days. He may not go down in history books alongside icons like Marcelo or Roberto Carlos, but his legacy will be remembered as that of a committed servant of the shirt, a player who played his role with honesty and left his sweat on the pitch. Nevertheless, Real Madrid's philosophy is crystal clear. The past is cherished, but it never dictates the present. Nostalgia is not the currency of the Bernabeu. The club's greatness is built on its capacity to constantly evolve, to demand the maximum, and to never settle for less than total excellence. That relentless pursuit of improvement is what has allowed Madrid to dominate European football for decades. And in that framework, Mendy's departure is not merely a transfer, it is a symbol of renewal, of a club that never allows itself to stagnate. The departure of Ferland Mendy, alongside that of Alaba, opens a pivotal opportunity for Real Madrid to bring in a new left-back who can combine the defensive solidity of Mendy with the attacking flair that fans at the Bernabeu have historically adored. The club will be looking for someone younger, fresher, capable of playing with intensity twice a week, and adaptable to the tactical demands of modern football. Whether that player comes from La Liga, the Premier League, or elsewhere, one thing is certain. The next signing for that position will be expected to carry the weight of history while simultaneously writing a new future. Real Madrid's left-back lineage is no small matter. From the thunderous energy and attacking brilliance of Roberto Carlos, to the artistry and creativity of Marcelo, and then to the sturdiness of Mendy, each era has reflected the team's evolving identity. Whoever arrives next will be tasked with blending tradition and innovation, with being not just a defender, but a symbol of the club's never-ending pursuit of greatness. Thus, while Mendy's time in Madrid reaches its conclusion, his story is a reminder of what it means to wear the white shirt, to live under constant pressure, to give everything to the badge, and to accept that at Real Madrid, good is never good enough. Only excellence sustains you. And so the Bernabeu will applaud him one final time, with gratitude for the battles fought and the trophies won, before turning its gaze toward the horizon, where the next great left-back must rise. After the confirmed departures of David Alaba and Ferland Mendy, two players who for years formed part of the backbone of Real Madrid's defensive structure, the Spanish giants now find themselves entering a new era of reconstruction and renewal. In this crucial moment of transition, a story has emerged that has electrified the white half of Madrid and ignited debates across European football. The club is reportedly preparing to go all in for William Pacho, the young Ecuadorian centre-back who has been making waves with his commanding performances at Paris Saint-Germain. For Real Madrid supporters, this is more than just a transfer rumor. It is the possibility of witnessing the arrival of a player who could serve as the cornerstone of the defense for the next decade. Pacho's name is increasingly resonating across the footballing world, not only because of his raw talent and potential, but also because of the maturity, resilience, and determination that he has demonstrated in the early stages of his career. A player built for modern football. William Pacho offers precisely the qualities Real Madrid are seeking at this moment in time. Still only in his early 20s, he represents youth, energy, and the promise of long-term development. Physically powerful yet agile, his combination of speed and strength allows him to dominate in one-on-one duels. He reads the game with remarkable anticipation, intercepting passes before they become dangerous and recovering possession in advanced areas. What has most impressed analysts and coaches, however, is his tactical maturity. At PSG, he has demonstrated the ability to remain composed under pressure, whether facing elite strikers in domestic competition or performing on the grand stage of the UEFA Champions League. His decision-making reflects that of a seasoned veteran, calm in possession, decisive in challenges, and capable of launching attacks from the back with carefully measured distribution. In fact, Pacho has been praised not only for his defensive solidity but also for his ability to initiate attacking transitions. His passes often break opposition lines, creating opportunities for teammates further up the pitch. In today's football, where defenders are expected to contribute as much to build-up play as to traditional defending, this versatility is invaluable. Why Real Madrid want him? The pursuit of Pacho fits perfectly into Real Madrid's long-term strategy of rejuvenating their defensive line. With Alaba and Mendy moving on, the club's hierarchy knows that now is the time to invest in the next generation of leaders at the back. The Madrid board has long valued players who can provide both immediate impact and a vision for the future, and Pacho seems to embody that duality. Recent reports suggest that Real Madrid have been closely monitoring Pacho for months, analyzing his performances, his development curve, and even his mentality off the pitch. The verdict is unanimous. He is not only technically and physically capable of succeeding at the highest level, but he also possesses the drive and ambition to thrive under the immense pressure of the Santiago Bernabeu. From the player's side, the move is also viewed favorably. Those close to him believe that joining Real Madrid would represent the ideal next step in his career, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to showcase his talent on the biggest stage, to compete for every major trophy, and to cement his place among Europe's elite defenders. The financials behind the deal. Pacho's release clause is set at approximately €80 million, a considerable sum, yet not unreasonable for a player of his profile in today's inflated transfer market. For Real Madrid, the the departures of Alaba and Mendy will open both financial and sporting space, making such an investment feasible. Florentino Perez, the club's president, has reportedly already initiated contacts with the players' representatives, signaling Madrid's intent to move decisively before rival clubs across Europe make their own bids. For Real Madrid, this would not simply be a purchase, it would be a statement of intent. By securing one of the most promising defenders of the next generation, the club would underline its commitment to blending established stars with emerging talent, ensuring competitiveness both now and in the years to come. A nation holds its breath. The news has been met with unbridled excitement in Ecuador. For a country that has produced talented footballers but rarely seen one of its own linked so directly with Real Madrid, the possibility feels historic. Local media outlets have celebrated the reports with front-page headlines, while fans have flooded social media with messages of pride and anticipation. Should the transfer go through, Pacho would become the first Ecuadorian ever to wear the famous white shirt of Real Madrid, a landmark achievement that would inspire generations of aspiring players back home. Beyond the sporting impact, it would also elevate Ecuador's footballing reputation on the global stage, showing that the country can produce not only hard-working professionals but genuine world-class talents capable of competing at the pinnacle of the game. Immediate impact and long-term vision. If signed, Pacho would not be treated as a secondary option or a squad player. On the contrary, all indications suggest that he would walk straight into the starting 11, tasked with anchoring the defense from day one. His arrival would provide Madrid with a defender who is not only reliable in the present but who also embodies the future vision of the club, a modern, multifaceted centre-back capable of leading the team for the next decade. In many ways, this deal encapsulates what Real Madrid has always sought to achieve: continuity and renewal, ambition and planning, tradition and progress. The signing of Pacho would not just strengthen the squad, it would reinforce the club's identity as a place where young talent can grow into global icons. For the fans, the message is equally clear: Real Madrid is not content to rest on past glories. The club continues to evolve, to innovate, and to ensure that the next generation of stars is ready to carry the weight of its legendary white shirt. Conclusion. The potential transfer of William Pacho is more than a story about a talented defender changing clubs. It is about Real Madrid's vision of the future, Ecuador's pride on the international stage, and the timeless appeal of football's most prestigious institution continuing to attract the brightest talents. If the deal is finalized, Pacho would not merely be another signing. He would arrive as both a symbol and a solution, a symbol of Madrid's commitment to youth and excellence, and a solution to the pressing need for defensive stability in the post-Alaba and post-Mendy era. For now, Madridistas wait with eager anticipation, while Ecuador dreams of seeing one of their own step onto the pitch at the Santiago Bernabéu, ready to write a new chapter in both club and national footballing history.